Athletes that approach 7 feet tall usually aren't suiting up to play football. They're dominating on the basketball court, dunking with ease. But have you ever considered just who are the tallest players ever to don an NFL jersey? It turns out that if you look at the tallest at each position in the game's history, you'll find a whole lot of interesting players and stories behind them. For example, on this list you'll find a brother of one of baseball's greatest sluggers, a man whose nickname was Too Tall, and a tight end whose height led to a permanent rule change in the NFL. Oh, and before I forget, just the only perfect Wonderlic test score in history. Being tall doesn't necessarily equate to dominating on the football field, but it doesn't hurt to have a few inches or feet on an opponent. I scoured the internet to find the tallest of the tall, so without further ado, here's a team full of the tallest NFL players by position. Quarterback, Dan McGwire, 6'8". Dan McGwire's last name should look familiar because he's the brother of former MLB slugger Mark McGwire. McGwire played quarterback at San Diego State University in 1990 and went on to become a first-round pick by the Seattle Seahawks in 1991, ahead of some dude named Brett Favre. This McGwire brother didn't nearly see the same professional success. He lasted just 5 NFL seasons, playing his final one with the Miami Dolphins, and threw 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions over that span. The 6'8" passer may have had the size to look over the offensive line, but it didn't stop him from becoming a first-round bust. Running back, Bert Coan, 6'5". Running backs are usually some of the shortest players on the field. Not Bert Coan. His 6'5" frame and incredible speed, he reportedly ran a 9.5 in the 100-yard dash, means he probably would have been better suited to play wide receiver or cornerback, but maybe he didn't have the hands. Coan played running back for TCU and Kansas before playing 7 seasons in the AFL for the San Diego Chargers and Kansas City Chiefs in the 60s. He logged only 19 touchdowns and 1,259 rushing yards, proving speed doesn't always translate on the gridiron. Wide receiver, Harold Carmichael, 6'8". At 6'8", Harold Carmichael may very well be the tallest player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Forget Randy Moss or Calvin Johnson, this dude would have been a cheat code if he were in Madden today. Carmichael was a quarterback in high school before switching to receiver in college. He played with the Philadelphia Eagles, New York Jets, and Dallas Cowboys from 1971 to 1984, and was a 4-time Pro Bowl player, 3-time All-Pro, and the 1973 receiving yards and receptions leader. The towering receiver caught 590 passes for 85 yards, and 79 touchdowns, showing that no one can really cover a man his size. Tight end, Morris Stroud, 6'10". Morris Stroud stood a ridiculous 6'10" and even had a rule named after him. Stroud played tight end for the Chiefs in the 60s and 70s, when players were still allowed to try to block a field goal by jumping from underneath the goalpost. The NFL's Stroud rule now states that goaltending by any player leaping up to deflect a kick as it passes above the crossbar of a goalpost is prohibited. The referee could award 3 points for a palpably unfair act. Stroud also caught 7 touchdowns and won Super Bowl IV with the Chiefs, but he will always be known for his goaltending abilities. Offensive tackle, Dan Skipper, 6'10". Skipper carried a 6'10", 325-pound body around while playing at Arkansas, where he became a first-team All-SEC offensive lineman. He went undrafted in 2017, but was signed by the Dallas Cowboys. Since then, he was signed to practice squads for the Detroit Lions, Denver Broncos, New England Patriots, Houston Texans, and Detroit Lions. Though the offensive tackle played just 7 games, he won a Super Bowl with the Patriots in 2019. The only question now is why hasn't the NBA reached out to him about playing center? Offensive tackle, Jonathan Ogden, 6'9". Ogden is a college or Pro Football Hall of Famer, and he did so at 6'9". One of the best tackles in NFL history, he started as an All-American at UCLA before the Ravens selected him with the 4th overall pick in the 1996 draft. He spent his entire 12-year NFL career protecting quarterbacks in Baltimore, where he made 11 Pro Bowls and won a Super Bowl. Ogden wasn't just a big man, he was a great football player. He also had an inch or two on many of the tallest offensive linemen in the game today, like Trent Brown, Jared Veldheer, and Alejandro Villanueva. Kicker, Neil O'Donoghue, 6'6". O'Donohue might be the most interesting man on this list because he's a 6'6" kicker born in Ireland. That's right, the Dublin native came to the United States in the 1970s to play soccer at St. Bernard College. When the program disbanded, he transferred to the SEC's Auburn University, where he became an All-American kicker and is still tied for the longest field goal in school history at 57 yards. O'Donohue played for the Bills, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and St. Louis Cardinals in the 60s and 70s before his luck ran out. He finished his career with a 59.3 field goal percentage. Punter Pat McInally, 6'6". Perfect score on the Wonderlic test. That's all I should have to say about Pat McInally. It isn't though. The 6'6" Harvard graduate is Exhibit A as to why special teams players are the absolute best. This brainiac was a 2-time All-Ivy League player before scoring the only verified perfect test on the Wonderlic. He has been quoted as saying, "It really did seem like an easy test at the time. One of the reasons I did so well is because I didn't think it mattered. So I think I didn't feel any pressure at all. It was more of a lark. And that's when you do your best. If it took 100 times, I'd probably never do that again." McInally played for the Cincinnati Bengals from 1976 to 1985 and earned a Pro Bowl and All-Pro selection in 1981. Unsurprisingly, he worked to help young athletes score better on their SATs after his playing career. I'd say that's probably his calling. Defensive tackle Richard Sligh, 7'2". While his height has been disputed, with official measurements listing him at 7 feet tall, defensive tackle Richard Sligh is the tallest man on our list. He played for North Carolina Central University and played exactly 1 season as a rookie in the AFL with the Oakland Raiders. Sligh played in just 8 games and was on the bench when the Raiders played the Green Bay Packers in Super Bowl II. But he will forever live on as the tallest man to ever step on the football field. Defensive end, Ed Too Tall Jones, 6'9". It's fitting that a man whose nickname was Too Tall falls on here. Defensive end Ed Too Tall Jones actually got the nickname when he quit basketball at Tennessee State University to play for the football team. He grew into a dominant college football lineman, racking up 38 career sacks before the Cowboys selected him first overall in the 1974 NFL Draft. Ed Jones enjoyed a nice career with the Cowboys in the 70s and 80s, earning 3 Pro Bowls and 3 All-Pro selections, as well as winning a Super Bowl. He recorded 57.5 sacks, and I can only imagine what it's like for a quarterback to see a defensive lineman that tall rushing him. Linebacker Ted Hendricks, 6'7". Ted the Mad Stork Hendricks was one of the best defensive players of all time. That's partly because the linebacker was 6'7" and nabbed 26 interceptions over his historic career. Hendricks played for the Colts, Packers, and Raiders from 1969 to 1983 and took home a whole lot of hardware by the time he retired. He won 4 Super Bowls, earned 8 trips to the Pro Bowl, and was a first-team player for the NFL's 70s and 80s all-decade teams. The Mad Stork was inducted into the College and Pro Football Hall of Fame for his beastly play. Cornerback Brandon Browner, 6'4". Brandon Browner became part of the Seattle Seahawks Legion of Boom defense from 2011 to 2013. The 6'4" cornerback also played for the Patriots and New Orleans Saints, winning 2 Super Bowls in total. When he was on the field, he was a shutdown corner. The 37-year-old is now serving 8 years in prison for attempted murder in 2018. Safety Pat Watkins, 6'5". Pat Watkins played college football at Florida State University before the Cowboys drafted him in the 5th round in 2006. The towering safety was quickly out of the NFL and tried his hand in the Canadian Football League from 2012 to 2016. Still, 6'5" is massive for anyone, let alone a safety. And before I get out of here, some honorable mentions. Calais Campbell, 6'8" defensive end. Lenny Walls, 6'4" cornerback. Jared Veldier, 6'8" offensive lineman. And Brandon Jacobs, one of my favorite players of all time, 6'4" running back. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff normal YouTubers ask you to do. And I will see you in the next one.